Today's video is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be how to install a sold treadmill motor. There really is no difference as far as installation goes on the F80, F85, F65, 63, and 60. They're pretty similar. They all kind of mount the same way. Well, they all do mount the same way. Before we get started, I would also like to say we're going to start uploading a lot of parts on our Fitness Parts Pro Facebook. I have a lot of odds and ends stuff that I don't really want to put on my website. I just kind of want to put it on my Facebook so I can take it off and on really easy. I really like Facebook's format for that. You can upload and you can erase within 10 minutes. If you're thinking about creating a website or having a store of any sorts, I would really start with Facebook. Look at their format. It's really pretty good. So I'm going to install this motor today, but I also want you to go to a friend of mine, and I'm going to give you the link, and maybe his name is Days Cars, and I know it seems odd, but he also does a lot of work with older treadmills. He explains how to retrofit some of the MC2100, some of the older controllers where you can use them for drill presses, and kind of whatnots in general. What I like from him really is he has a really good video out on how to determine horsepower to torque and what horsepower you're really getting out of your motors. I've explained this to people before and they kind of think I'm just trying to upsell them. So, and I really couldn't do a better job than what this guy has done. So I have no problem with promoting his video. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with what we're here to do today. And that's install this sold motor. Alright. Alright, so I got the tools we're going to use sitting right here on the belt. Don't necessarily need a drill, but you need some kind of Phillips head. You need a 15 millimeter to adjust this bolt here, but I lost mine, so I'm just going to use this adjustable right here. Alright, so this is fairly simple to do, but because I like to be cautious, I'm going to say unplug your machine so everybody's nice and safe. And this usually, these 4 nuts down here are usually either a 15 millimeter or a 9/16. So the first thing I like to do, and you can't see this, I know from the camera angle, but I'm just loosening up, not removing them, the 4 mounting bolts here. So I'm not going to remove them yet. I'm going to remove this one screw right here again. Or I think I am. Well, I am now. Alright, so we'll put that right there. That's just to the ground wire. So you'll see on your machine you basically have a ground wire and 2 wires that go over to the motor controller for the motor. So once we've done that, there's an adjustment bolt right here, so I'm just going to loosen this up. Doesn't really take too much effort. Of course, now watch this one make a liar out of me. Oh, no, there we go. Alright, so it's got another bolt set on it that kind of tells you how far to put that back. It really does a lot to do with the tension on the motor belt itself. The best advice I can give for that is put it back where you found the other one. Alright, so let's remove these 4 bolts now. So, nice and smooth, that's always a good sign. That's why I just loosen them at first. I don't want to make it too quick, use my impact and make a lot of noise, but once they're loosened I can usually do it by hand. Alright, so we're just going to raise this up a little bit so I can remove the belt. Then we got to clip these tie wraps right down here. Alright. Then I know on this particular motor, these spade lugs come off pretty easy. This one has white on top, red on bottom. Some are red and black. You'll see on the other motor in a second. So we're just going to pick this up. And of course, if it was actually bad, I would pick up another motor and put it back. So, since it's actually still good, we're just going to level that bad boy right in there and reuse it. Gonna have to break down and use my glasses. Put that little motor brush back, alright. So this is going to tilt it up just enough to get the belt on. Belt's on. Holes fairly lined up. So I'm going to do everything kind of by hand at first. Just like I do when I take it apart. So don't tighten these bolts down yet, because you're going to have to adjust the tension bolt for the motor tension. And I'll kind of go over that with you too. So as you can see, this is a pretty easy job, really, in the land of fixing stuff. But I've done it for the factory a couple times and had a couple of requests, so henceforth the video. Alright, now before I tighten that down, I guess I'll use my manual screwdriver if I still know how to operate one. Let's see, how does that thing turn? Oh, just like that, okay. Alright, so I didn't bring me any extra tie wraps, so in theory you're supposed to tie wrap this back to these little stands right there. Then we will just hook these motor leads back up. 1, 2. So pretend I have that nice and tie wrapped down, alright? Don't tattletale on me. So we're going to want to get the tension on this now is the next important thing. So I'm going to take my fake 15 millimeter. I'm going to do it by hand at first. So in general, tension on your drive belt, or motor belt they like to call it, it should really have about a 1/2 inch or halfway. I think the word they like to use is deflection. You shouldn't be able to turn it all the way upside down, but you should be able to turn it about halfway. Alright? So I'm just going to give it another little turn. I'm going to tighten up my lock nut. Alright. See if my bolts, alright, so my bolts holding the motor down are turning quite easily still. So that's a good thing. Wouldn't have to put the revs going the right way. So I'm just going to do 2 of these. Make sure you tighten down all 4 of yours, because I'm going to be taking this apart for something else. And that's about right as far as the tension on the belt, and that is done by that little adjustment screw. So changing a motor really is pretty simple. There is one thing I kind of want to go over with you though. On some of the newer ones, 2018 and up, the connectors have a little crimp piece in it. So if you can't just pull this off, like I can, and see this one's red and black, so they're not always black and white. Sometimes this can be stuck on here, see, and you have to press this little tab down. So there's a little tab in here, and if your motor has that little tab, be careful, because you'll pull on it so hard you'll actually pull the lug out of the PC board. And if you really have to, you can just skin it back a little bit. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but around 2018 they started using this little tab. It's a good idea, I guess, keep it from coming off. But if you don't know that, that can make an extremely easy job extremely hard. So I just looked at this is a 3 horsepower motor at 4,000 RPMs. This is 2.5 at 5,700 RPMs. So I'm actually going to have my buddy at Days Cars explain that. You'll see it on his video on the formula that he used to come up with that. But I'm not going to do that. I like his video better than what I could do. So that's really it for installing a Soul treadmill motor. This is a motor off an F60, sometimes F63. Usually the 3 and 4 horsepower motors are in the larger machines, the 80, the 85s, 77, and the TT8. Sometimes the TT8 even has an actual AC motor rather than a DC. All right. So again, thanks a lot for supporting me. This is pretty easy. I'm going to add a link on how to convert over and really understand your horsepower, what you're actually getting. It's got a lot to do with torque, but you'll see that when you look at that video. And I guess that's really it. Nice and simple, huh? See you guys again next time. Thanks.